September 1940, the height of the Blitz. Churchill made a terrible discovery. The 15-centimeter thick concrete walls of his megastructure would not resist the impact of a simple 250-kilo bomb.
Churchill is horrified to discover that his secret war rooms are not in fact safe.
And when you look into the cabinet room and you see what was in there, which is basically the whole of the core of government, you've got the Prime Minister, 6 ministers at least, the chiefs of staff, the head of the civil service, who's the cabinet secretary. I mean, it is, as we say in English, all your eggs in one basket, and one bomb could have taken them out.
It is barely believable. How could a megastructure, supposed to protect the entire British High Command, be so vulnerable? To find out why, we must go back a few years. 1938. The British, who until then believed there would be a peaceful outcome to the conflict, suddenly realized they were facing war. Caught short-handed, there was no time to build a real bunker for the leaders. Faced with little choice, they banked on an existing building.
In 1938, they lighted on the building known as Government Offices Great George Street, or New Public Offices. It was the newest building within government. It was finished in 1917. It had a steel frame, and they thought that that would make it better able to withstand impact of bombs if they put extra protection in. And they started work on that in 1938.
The walls were reinforced with sandbags and brick partitions. The war rooms were ready at the very last minute on August 27, 1939, 1 week before the outbreak of war. Despite the work carried out at the 11th hour, the megastructure still had one major defect. Located just beneath the surface of the street, the war rooms were directly exposed to bombs.
What I find interesting is to think, if you were thinking in Hitler's mind, trying to work out where Churchill might be, he probably would have thought, like himself, he'd be 60 meters underground, like Mussolini, like Stalin. Would Hitler have thought, I don't know, I think he's probably in a storage basement 10 feet below ground, sort of 200 yards from his house? No.
A gamble that Churchill wasn't ready to make.
Final extinction.
He ordered the construction of massive reinforcements all around his bunker.
It has wooden joists about 1 foot thick. It has steel girders about 2 foot thick. And then it has a sort of steel cradle about 1/2 meter deep. And then into that, they pour concrete with steel rods and steel rails to create a 6-foot steel raft of concrete. But that is it's an astonishing construction.
A vast slab of concrete which, for sure, increased the security of the war rooms. But nobody knew whether it would resist the new German missiles, which now weighed a staggering 900 kilos. The megastructure, in which Churchill spent most of his time until the end of the war, was therefore not 100% safe. But one place he visited from time to time was entirely so. "30 kilometers away in Uxbridge, in the northwest suburbs of London, concealed in the middle of the countryside, was an undetectable bunker capable of resisting any kind of attack. That of the Royal Air Force. Buried 18 meters underground and 444 square meters spread over 2 levels, it was a genuine strong room surrounded by reinforced concrete. An ultra-securitized megastructure housing the high command of the British Air Force, tasked with protecting the London skies, the coasts of the Channel, and the North Sea. A highly strategic place and a prime target for German bomber squadrons.
The construction of the bunker here at Uxbridge is actually very similar to the Churchill war rooms in central London, but the difference is the bunker during the war was entirely bomb-proof. It's built from reinforced concrete, which is about 1 metre thick, but the main reason that it's bomb-proof is because of how deep underground it is. There's about 10 metres of earth on top of the building, and inside that earth there are layers of concrete, sand and steel that were designed to absorb the bomb blasts.
Steel airlock, airtight doors, air filtration systems. Everything was in place to securitize the heart of the bunker, the operations room. A concentrate of technology constructed in 1938 and from where 23 squadrons of fighter planes and bombers were commanded. On an immense map, the positions, numbers, and altitudes of British planes, but also those of the Luftwaffe. And all done in real time.
Information about that location came from 2 sources. First of all, it came from radar, and secondly, it came from the Observer Corps, who were literally men with binoculars. At the time, it was totally cutting edge. There was no other country in the world that had a system like this one. Even the Americans didn't have anything like this.
Once an enemy squadron had been sighted, the commanding officer would give the order to intercept. And for that, he had a totally unique tool.
Behind me is the tote board, and this tells the commanding officer here everything he needs to know about his own squadrons. Probably the most important thing is what's known as the state board, and that is the white board with the lights that comes down the wall. This tells the controller what the squadron is doing at any given moment, depending on where the lights appear. So you can see up at the top, you have released. That means that the squadron's unavailable, they're off duty. But there are other statuses on here as well, such as at standby, they are ready to go. Ordered on patrol, they're in the air, patrolling over a location. And then beneath that, you have enemy sighted, so they're now engaged with the enemy involved in combat. So this tells the controller what the squadron's doing, and combining that with the strength of the squadron, where they're based, and with the map, where exactly they are, that's all the information he needs to make his decisions.
This astonishing technology was the secret weapon of the RAF, the prime asset with which it hoped would make the difference. Because its fleet was half the size of that of the Germans, so it would have to win through efficiency. And everything would be decided on September 15th, 1940. Hitler had decided to wipe out the RAF before landing on the British coasts and invading the country. For 6 days, the Luftwaffe bombed London relentlessly. Then, to deliver the death blow, Hitler sent in 500 planes. Inside the RAF bunker, tension was at its highest, even for Churchill, present to follow the operations. Because to fight off Hitler's incredible armada, the British had only 300 planes. The battle promised to be a difficult one.
So when Churchill came down here on the 15th of September, he was escorted by Air Vice Marshal Keith Park, who was the commanding officer here at Uxbridge during that period. And whilst they were watching what was happening down in the operations room, Churchill turned to Park and asked, "How many reserves have we?" And Park's response, "There are none." That really tells you, I think, just how close the Battle of Britain was.
The RAF sent its entire fleet into battle. And thanks to their incredible headquarters and their radars capable of detecting enemy squadrons from a distance, British fighter pilots managed to shoot down 56 enemy aircraft. They had achieved the impossible and won the Battle of Britain. A decisive turning point, even though the war was far from won. Until victory, the RAF bunker was never discovered by the Germans, and it was never bombed. These underground superstructures of World War II saved thousands of lives and changed the course of history, thanks to their contribution to the Allies' victory over Nazi Germany. But there are still more secrets lying beneath the streets of London. Other huge and astonishing megastructures, without which London wouldn't be the megalopolis it is today.